Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm excited to have this Earth Day room. And it's going to be a simple room, and it's going to be collaborative discussion. So feel free to join us on the stage. I'm going to invite you, Hermon, in case you want to join. What we're going to do is just share one of our favorite ways how we invest in our planet, reduce our impact, and just have a conversation about it. I always feel there's always so many different ways that we can help reduce our impact or like how to invest in our planet. It's just a lot is in learning from one another, our best practices. I'm constantly learning every day, and today, even this morning, Danay mentioned an idea how to not just like we're getting for reusable bags, like how to remember to bring their reusable bags, or even stuff like that. So, everyone, I'm going to invite you on the stage. Feel free to join me, and so I'm going to invite everyone on stage. Hi, Cindy. Thank you for joining. Um, Making Cindy a moderator. So to make a halo right now, I'm going to invite you onto the stage. I'm happy to see everyone here. So first, I'm talk a little bit about Earth Day. So first, but I want everyone to think about what is their favorite way they invest in the environment, or maybe how they reduce their impact. And we're going to go around. But I'm going to talk a little about Earth Day so people have a little bit of background of it. And one thing is that Earth Day is widely recognized as the largest secular observance in the world. It's marked by more than 1 billion people every year. About 90 plus countries are engaged. It's a day of action to change human behavior and create global, national, and local policy changes. And this is celebrated every year on April 22nd and marks the anniversary of the birth of the modern environmental movement in 1970. It gave a voice to an emerging public consciousness about the state of our planet. And then in the decades leading up to the first Earth Day, Americans were consuming vast amounts of leaded gas through massive and inefficient automobiles. Industry belched out smoke and sludge with little fear of consequences from either the law or bad press. Air pollution was commonly accepted as a smell of prosperity. Until this point, mainstream America remained largely oblivious to the environmental concerns and how a polluted environment threatens human health. However, the stage was set for the change of the publication of Rachel Carson's New York Times bestseller Silent Spring in 1962. The book represented a watershed movement as it raised public awareness for the concern for living organisms, the environment, and the intricable links between pollution and public health. So the first day of Earth Day inspired 20 million Americans at this time, 10% of the total population, so that's a huge amount, to take the streets, parks, and auditoriums to demonstrate against the impacts of 150 years of industrial development, which left a growing legacy of serious human health impacts. Thousands of colleges and universities organized protests against the deterioration of the environment, and there are massive coast-to-coast rallies in cities, towns, and communities. Um, and then in Earth Day 1970 achieved a rare political alignment, enlisting support from Republicans, Democrats, rich and poor, urban dwellers and farmers, businesses and labor unions. By the end of 1970, the first Earth Day led to creation of the United States Environmental Protection Agency and the passage of other kind of environmental laws, including the National Environmental Education Act, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, and the Clean Air Act. And then 2 years later, Congress passed the Clean Water Act. A year after that, Congress passed the Endangered Species Act. And soon after that, the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act. These laws have protected millions of men, women, and children from disease and death, have protected hundreds of species from extinction. So 30 years on, Earth Day 2000 sent world leaders on a loud and clear message. Citizens around the world wanted quick and decisive action in global warming and clean energy. And now today, Earth Day is widely recognized as the largest secular observance in the world. So like I said earlier, if you missed it, it's marked by 1 billion people every year as a day of action to change human behavior, create global, national, and local policy changes. So now it's just like there's more of a fight to increasing urgency. It's just becoming more and more apparent every single day. So, and then I think now it's like thinking about these conversations about like how can we invest in the environment? How can we reduce our impact? And that now we have to think about like how our daily lives are connected to climate, from the food we eat to the way we travel to work to the products we buy. There's like so many different ways to do that. And there's so many different ways we can adapt our daily practices and purchases to be more sustainable, environmental friendly. There's so many different ways. And I'm learning this every single day what to do. And I find it exciting because it's like I feel like I'm always constantly learning, and I love hearing from other people. Whether it's just I mentioned earlier, like we had it at the networking room, which is reusable bags. I love the concept, but I forget them. So Danay mentioned about how she created a system to remember it. Whether it's like setting an alarm before she goes to the grocery store to bring her bags, or have a system to always have bags in the car no matter what. And as soon as she takes it out, like bring it back in. So just things like that. So I encourage everyone just to talk about what are their favorite way that they have a what are their favorite way to be sustainable, maybe reduce their impact. And then we can all go around and talk about it. Maybe we can learn something today. And one of my favorite things I picked up this year, and just think about the ways you can think about it, can be something as like sustainability, plants. It could be sharing your favorite brands. Like if you have a favorite brand, and it could be like even like a small business, a Latina or Latino favorite brand, please share it. I'm all for that. Because there's sustainable clothing products, there's something that you want to share, just please share it away. Even about cosmetics too, I know there's a lot of chemicals in cosmetics. Just please share it. I'm open. So one of my favorite things I picked up, and I'm inviting everyone to stage to share, is I recently learned from last year about silicone bags. And this is the reusable ones, because usually in the past I've always had the biggest problem about how to reuse my food. I know I've tried glass containers, which have broke, but I still love glass containers though. It's great for in the microwaves, but the issue is that it can break, and I'm just trying to buy food in bulk and just like freeze it instead of keep buying like individual, like a pound of chicken and then it comes with a foam box and plastics. I'm like to buy a whole bunch of it and then like separate it and freeze it, or just left. And so I or just storing like cheese, like a big block of cheese, and try instead of buying the packages of cheese, I just buy it and slice it and grate it myself. But silicone bags are so cool because you can actually like clean it, you can put it in a dishwasher, and it can be reused at every single time. And I would store whether it's chicken, beef, cheese, whatever it is, sandwiches. And it's a little bit pricey. It's ridiculous how much it costs. I think it's like $8 or $10 a bag, but it lasts forever because I feel so bad when I use a plastic bag. I feel so terrible, but I still have a stash for emergencies. But that's one of my favorite pickups ever, is a silicone reusable bag. So I'm gonna that's my wanted to share. So I'm gonna pass it off to Cindy. And Cindy, you can introduce yourself and talk about a little bit about your business too, and then anything one of your favorite practices.
Sure, Heather. Thanks for doing that and giving us some background in terms of Earth Day. That's really great that you talked about the history to give us context because, it has evolved over the years and it is coming up in front and center as all of us face different climate changes in our weather and it impacts us all. So thanks, Heather, for that history and what we do. As I like to call it, small steps together lead to great change. So I think when we talk about what we can do, it can become overwhelming because there are so many facets of being earth friendly, eco friendly, and living this like earth minded mindset or lifestyle, if you will. But what I love to do is, just be open minded. And like you said, Heather, really just have this like learner's approach to things because everything is always changing and there's so many facets to Earth Day and to kind of move forward in this way because change can be hard and change can be slow too, but I think that a lot of the change is being led by the younger generation and they're kind of taking a huge initiative, as I see a lot of my local community in San Diego um, at at the university level. They're just really, it's amazing what they're doing. But what I'm kind of to give you a little bit of context, I've been in the sustainable fashion space for quite some time, and I started a travel blog, and I really see my world through the travel and sustainable lens. So when that kind of intersected with my travel blog, I really loved it. It really became kind of this bigger than life mission. And so I started something in Chicago. It was a t-shirt company, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I loved it so much, but it kind of fell into my lap. And that kind of I had that, and then I moved out to San Diego, and I started this travel blog. And I decided that I wanted to build a sustainable travel bag for women of color because that was kind of how I saw the world and how it seemed like a lot of things were moving towards that lifestyle in terms of being mobile. And it really speaks to me because when I was growing up, I had that privilege of moving and seeing the world as a young child. And my parents were avid travelers, but I also saw the lens of sustainability through my culture. And that's kind of how I move through the space and through the sustainability lens, because I see the indigenous and through my culture as best practice. So I kind of see it in that way. And when I move through Latin America, it's just especially in Mexico, because that's the country I've been in recently. They've eliminated plastic bags in commercial grocery stores, so they only used paper, and that's kind of my number one tip. I know we talked about that in the other room. And it's so challenging here in the United States. It's not easy to kind of be like, okay, when you forget your plastic bags, you're like, where do I put these? It's kind of like this dilemma, and we can have other solutions to it. But I think it's really systemic because it's like ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Those plastic, and so my thing is to reject the plastic bag as much as you can. Like it's not going to be perfect in the United States because it's everywhere. It's like really rampant and it's in your face all the time. The single use plastic. It's almost like it kind of gets to be like a frustrating point, but I remember that I'm doing my best and every single action counts. So that's kind of how I approach things is to reject things. Like I reject straws. I reject certain like single use plastic as much as I can because I'm a human being and like I'm in a society where it's rampant. Like the single use plastic usage is rampant. It's everywhere. It's in your face. It's almost like you have to be so prepared, and we live in such rush society that it's almost so hard. Like everyone talks about forgetting the plastic bag, there's a reason why. We live in a rush society. But anyways, I think that that's the number one thing, is to try to reject that single use plastic as much as possible, and that comes with a lot of preparation and awareness of that habit. But yeah, I am the founder and CEO of Ella Pocketbook, a sustainable travel bag for today's global woman. And I'm in production stages, which means that I'm ready to go to production with a production partner in Mexico, because I've had such great response with partners with the fabric that I'm using, which is cactus fabric. And so I try to do as much as when I travel, I think of my carbon impact as well. So we're going to be doing like a toolkit on my blog, and we talk about how we can do a carbon offset initiative. So that's like another project, but I am working on a toolkit to take my community, because I have women of color in community, and I'm launching that community too on a private circle community that I'm launching as well. So lots to do, but I take it one step at a time, and I think of it like small steps together will lead to great change. Is my initiative, and that kind of eases my anxiety about like if I'm doing this right, if there's guilt, all that stuff, because like I said, in other countries, they've eliminated single use. Like I didn't see any plastic in Mexico when I was there. I was like, there's nothing, yay! And they would give me an alternative. They would give me a bag, a reusable bag, or brown paper bags. So with that said, we're all doing our best, and it's important to kind of move forward with that. But I also would suggest my third suggestion would be to really get involved with the local community that you're doing. I think it all stems back to the local initiatives. Because it's really about how you are voicing your local um, community and your local government and what you want. And so the youth in San Diego has this Youth versus Oil initiative with the San Diego 350, and I think it's really understated when you get involved on the local level. It's equally impactful on the local than on the federal because it meets they hear it on the local level. And I think when they hear it at the local level, it really echoes the chambers at the federal level. So I think with that said, I think we're all doing our part. And I don't think no one is not trying to do anything, but like I think that if you're trying to do something, this is my point, you're doing fine. You're doing great. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking more about what we can do as a community because it all begins with a small, like minded group of people. So, with that said, those are my tips. And happy Earth Day. And thank you for being here and listening. And Dolly, did you want to partake and say anything? I know you're doing such great things at the local level with your mission. Take it away.
Thank you, Cindy. I love this topic because I'm always trying to self-analyze, because we do so many things that are just learned behavior from when we were little. And so sometimes people, when you propose certain ideas, if you generalize it, they still don't really have like a real clue about what to do. So I just want to share some very like clear examples of how you can make small changes. And these are just very, very small little things that they're easy, like using metal straws. I carry mine in my bag and I'll just whip it out when I go somewhere to eat. And I know that that looks crazy to some people, but I don't care. The other thing is something that Heather mentioned, using glass Tupperware or glass containers to store food, and also the reusable bags. And what I love about this is that sometimes you don't have to pay for them because you go to different events and then people just hand them out. Um, but I also learned that you have to find out like what that bag is made from because sometimes they are like partially like plastic or some other material. And then I use vinegar and water a lot to clean surfaces and windows and my floors and stuff. And my kids hate it because they want the stuff from off the shelves that smells really good. But it's my house, so I just clean it that way. And let's see. Oh, I use microfiber towels to clean the floors and other areas. And like my kids love the Swiffer wet jet. It's crazy because you have to keep buying refills and for the pads, which don't really clean. They actually just smudge dirt around. I hate it. Um, but that's really good instead of getting those reuse those one use items and then you just throw them out. And then I minimize on printing. So for my business, I always um, promote the digital version of like my workbook or a PDF or anything like that, just to avoid using ink and paper. Because a lot of people don't realize that ink comes from animals and animals are being killed just so that we can print crap. Um, and oh, when it comes to clothing or just like items around the house, I try to repurpose them. So, for example, I had a lot of broken mugs, so I use the mugs and I try to like just trim them down to look like those half mugs, and then I plant like little herbs in them, and I just like stick them to like either a piece of wood somehow, glue them on there, and then drill little holes at the bottom so that they drain and the plants won't die. Or sometimes in my house in California, I had a little hill in the back and on the side of my property. So I just push it up against the dirt and then plant stuff in it. So it also look kind of decorative too. So you can get creative. And then like mason jars and things like that, I just try to always do crafts with them and stuff like that, or gift them to somebody who might need um, things to store food in, because it's glass. So sometimes you pay a lot of money for glass food savers, but you can definitely use like the little jars from, say, like jam or jelly, or whatever, and you can repurpose those. As far as clothing goes, I sometimes will say, like, if I have a shirt that has like a hole at the bottom, then sometimes you just make it into a crop top. Or my kids, they do that little shredding, little string looking things that go around it because they think it's pretty cool. Or sometimes you just cut them up as rags to clean up, messes that you know you need a cloth item for, or like for cleaning things, like, I don't know, I wipe down my dog's kennel with stuff like that instead of a microfiber towel. And let me see, and actually I want to know something, if anybody can answer this question. I always wonder if those darn microfiber towels are harmful, if it goes against the whole eco-friendly thing, so let me know. And let me see. Oh, also for clothing, because I'm not a big shopper, so this is really easy for me. But I don't, when I buy clothing, I try to select pieces that are timeless, or people call it classic, meaning that it doesn't go out of style. So I don't go into the trendy things that are gonna be like popular for just one season. And I'm also, the older I get, the more minimalistic I've gotten. So I still have a lot in my house that I've been working on decluttering, getting out of the house, but I have drastically reduced my, consuming of things, which has also saved me a ton of money. And my husband and I are going on having one vehicle in the households for, I think, going on 4 years now. And we were really scared to do that at first. He had a sedan and an SUV, and then my hybrid car. So we got rid of the SUV and the other sedan, and we kept my hybrid vehicle, and it has worked out so well. So there's that. And then like when we do things like going camping and stuff, we try to minimize on the paper cups and all of that stuff, and we just use glass or like the ceramic stuff. So those are just some ideas that I wanted to share, because I know sometimes people need to know exactly, like, well, what can I change? And that's all. Thank you so much.
Wow, Dolly, thank you so much for sharing. And we have a lot of new people in the room, so I'll do a quick room reset where we're talking about how we can invest in the environment and also reduce our impact in honor of Earth Day. We're just going around and just sharing our best practices, or some of my favorite practices, and we're inviting everyone to come share and just listen to learn different ways. And one of my favorite was, like I said, silicone bags. Cindy, she named so much, and I loved what she said with of just rejecting the single-use plastic bags. I thought it was kind of like, I was like, ooh, reject. But then I was like, well, we should reject, because it's like it's not like it's harmful for the environment. It's seen everywhere. So it's like I need to have that strong reaction. So thank you, Cindy, for reminding me that, and I will have that perspective of just rejecting that instead of just like, oops, I forget. It's like, no, like I'm not gonna forget. I'm gonna bring my reusable bags and be more adamant about that. And thank you, Dolly, for sharing about your favorite practices, because I can, and I resonated with so many, like even just sharing one vehicle. We only have one vehicle, and it's been, we think it's hard, but it's not. And if we did invest in another one, it'd be like a Vespa or some sort of scooter. We have bikes right now. And one favorite thing you mentioned about reusing your mugs and like ceramic mugs, we looked into if you have a drill at home, you have to have one. Of course, you can actually, we found out we actually drilled to a ceramic mug too, so we can plant something in it too. We can also do it with glass. So we tried to, we had like a reusable like jar, and there's a way, you can look up in YouTube, you can like drill like a hole into, whether it's a vase or a glass jar you got from like from whatever you purchase for food. You can drill a hole through that and just need some water, the right thing. And it's really cool. I was like, wow, this was my mind, because you don't have to go buy any like things for the plants or whatever. You can just drill a hole into like a mug or a ceramic or glass. So thank you so much for sharing all of that, and also remembering talk about how getting involved with community is also a best practice. And now I'm going to pass it up to Christina, and anyone else, you feel free to join us on stage to share. I love this conversation. It gets me so excited about Earth Day and how to reduce our impact. Christina, I'll share one of your favorite practices. Yeah, come share.
Sure. Well, in the chat, I put a link in for a video I did where I interviewed a girl who was talking about the toxins all around us in our lives. And one of the things that opened my eyes in her interview that I didn't realize was that not all plastics are created equal. So I know we want to like go from um, more sustainable, something that we can reuse, but we want to make sure also that we're getting the right kind of plastic because otherwise that doesn't help us much is for our own particular health. So that's a good video. I just put that in the link. And for myself, I think my tip would be to consider composting. And I think that's a really great way to take a lot of our unused trash and make our plants better outside in our own yard and things like that. I think that's a great idea. Um, and I'm excited to hear more uh, of the suggestions here today. I don't have as many as Dolly. Dolly, you gave so many great things. So great tips. That was awesome. Go ahead and take it over, everyone.
Herman, are you there?
Ya se durmió.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm on to a photo shoot. I'm just listening. So if you want to skip me for now, I'll pass the mic to Danay.
Danay, do you have anything to share?
Danay, your turn.
También. No.
Yeah, she is. Okay, Carla, thank you for joining. Do you have anything to share?
Hi, actually, I don't have. Well, I have a question for everybody, or for the girls. Have you guys tried like the alternative to pads and tampons, and what has worked best for you guys? That's all.
Yes, I have. I used the cup. It was something I I did for the fact because I was backpacking, and this was like 2016. I looked into it, so I wasn't thinking environmentally, but I knew it was. I was forced to go that route. But it was, and I loved it. I never went back ever. I just now I see that like anything else is kind of wasteful, and it just like, and then there were I had a podcast discussion with Nurse Bouquet with Marcella. We also have a podcast called Latinas Who Adventure. We went into that, and she made us feel so much more comfortable like using it because it's like it's a lot cleaner. Um, it's just it's more, yeah, it's natural. I mean, when you do use it, it's like it's a lot better. It might feel uncomfortable for like the first time, but I would never go back to never go back to either or. I love my cup.
And like, do you only have to get? Sorry, this. I've like thought about it, but I haven't even looked into it. I guess I can Google all this, but I think it would be cool for everybody to hear because the thing that makes me feel uncomfortable about that is like you already said it. Is it sanitary? Um, and then like, do you have to keep changing it, or does it work similarly to like a pad?
Well, you can anyone else can chime in too. No, every single time I like use it, I make sure of course to wash my hands, and then when I do use it, I just wash it after with just soap and water. And then I think there's like a time that you can read online because it's silicone. When I use that, you might have to change it. Like I think it's like depends like 1 or 2 years, but it lasts a long time. It's way cheaper. It's like 30 to $40. I probably find it cheaper now for one. I think I found one. It was like the Lena, and it was just something that was more my price categories are two different versions. There's like the day or night. I just needed one version. I just didn't know. But no, it's safe. Just make sure just to wash your hands with soap and water before and with it, and then that's all you have to do. And it yeah it and you just keep using it just as long as you keep it clean. And that's why it was so cool. It's like I don't have to run into the store anymore. I was like, good. I get to save gas because I know it's even you help the environment even more.
That's true. All right, thank you. That was all.
Anyone else want to chime in?
I have I'd like to chime in. I haven't tried the cup or anything. I know my daughter has, but I have tried the organic like truly organic products, which are of course more expensive. Um, but I must be honest that they're not the best. You do have to change them out more often, so it's more of an inconvenience. And then some of them are more uncomfortable. Like I use tampons, so the applicators, which help it, be inserted easier. That one, that's just uncomfortable. That's really the main issue with it. But I've tried many different ones, and I really like that Real brand. That was the best one for pads and for the tampons. But of course, everybody is different, and that's I have not tried the actual cloth materials, but I know that they have many different lines of just cloth pads. And of course, it's messy because it's pretty much absorbing everything. And then you have to just wash it yourself. And not everybody's cool with that. And of course, you have to change it out a lot more often. But that is also an option. And there are a lot of people that apparently use it because it's still in the market. So that's my share.
Thank you for sharing that.
Does anyone else want to chime in? Oh, Cindy?
Oh yeah, I have not used the menstrual cups, but I'm looking, like Dolly said, into the other alternatives. It just is really a personal thing. It's like pretty broad, but I invite you. I'm going to pin another link about a New York Times article about menstrual cups, but um, yeah, it's a very personal thing. But I think that it's important to really consider like the waste part of our daily habits because they all add up. Like it's a small change, and if you, like me, I get overwhelmed sometimes with it, and I give myself grace because I live and breathe this motto, this mission in my life, which is a huge mission. I have to give myself a lot of grace. So it's good if you're gonna like focus on that lifestyle because beauty and food is the number one and two sectors that are like really moving forward in the sustainability space. So it's good that you're like making those small changes because over time, that's going to really help your lifestyle and what is personal to you. So that's my perspective. But I'll pin a link in there that I found useful. That's from the New York Times about menstrual cups. But I really just kind of switching gears back to the food thing. I know Christina mentioned food waste. There's like a pin that I linked regarding this Stop Food Waste Day. I love how like people like take the whole day and like celebrate this because it really kind of becomes part of who we are and how our lifestyles are. And I think that food, since it became the major sector to kind of um, become this forefront in our minds about living sustainably and what we put in our bodies. And I'm a big proponent of health and food has become a huge, well, it has always been a huge like partner, if you will, in my travel lens. So and when we think about food and food waste, it begins at the local level again. I don't want to sound preachy, and I think when we talk about all this, it's very like overwhelming sometimes, and you're wondering how do I measure it? How do I do this? I think that it all starts at the local level, and this is starting in San Diego, but I think it is a national day now. But they are starting different initiatives in the city that I live in. So they have like in San Diego 350, which is a non-for-profit organization run by the youth at the University of San Diego. Um, but if they're doing an honor to stop the food waste day, they're going to challenge you to cook with zero waste. And to be honest with you, I don't want to be preachy or anything, but this is like an indigenous way of looking at food as well. It's like composting, if anybody's a gardener. This is like the back to basics, the way um, indigenous people did and cultivated the land. So, I'm a big proponent of like not wasting food because we have enough of it and we have a plentiful in our society. So I'm going to take the challenge I invite everyone to take the challenge too. But composting is like another, um, it's another way to curb your food waste if you haven't had a composting. But they have a I invite you to go to the page, Stop Food Waste Day, and sharpen your skills. They have a toolkit. They have like Take the Pledge, and they even have like a food waste cookbook recipes. So I'm all about that, making my life easier. Like I think everyone is all about making your life easier, but I love that they have that, and you can check it out. I think that's going to be the next like frontier where people are going to really integrate that in their lifestyle. Because at the San Diego level, they're looking at, curbing that in terms of, when they pick up the recycling, they're going to start doing that for the food waste. So I'm looking into composting because I'm just like floored at how much waste we have. And the food waste is like unbelievable because it's such an easy solution regarding composting. But I would take the small step towards getting educated at the local level, but check that Stop Food Waste Day. That's my suggestion. Thank you so much. Anybody want to chime in?
Yeah, I'd like to say a few things.
Sure, go ahead.
This is Isidro.
That'll be
Hi.
$5, please.
Okay.
Going to our conservation fund.
And
Okay.
and pesos. I I just want to say that there's no evidence to suggest that in our solar system other planets have tacos. So this is the only planet that has tacos. So we have to protect the shit out of it. Uh, but having said that, we're the only planet that has tacos. I do want to say a few things. I like that's where Cindy was going on sustainability, and what I've found that it can get overwhelming when you take on the aspect of wanting to do more. You could just go get overwhelmed within 5 minutes of searching. Like, what do I do? Where to start? And what I've found the most helpful for me, at least, is I notice that my habits reflect like they're all interconnected. So, for example, if I eat a lot more, I will gain weight, right? And so when I look at what I'm consuming, I'm like, I don't need those two huevos in the morning. I could do with one. I could, instead of using two slices of bread, I could use one slice and cut it in half. And I found that it's this habit that I need to form. And when I form those little habits, sometimes I notice that those translate to what I consume for my house. I look at my house, my wife and I, actually, our home, and we look at it and we go, okay, every time we buy something and we bring it into the house, we have to let something go. Because if we don't, the house is going to get congested. And I feel the same way when I lose track of my body, when I eat too much and I don't, we're talking serious here. If I don't poop that out, it's going to stay in me somehow. So I I use those habits of what do I notice about what I do with me, myself, my body, and those sometimes translate to my home, and then they go into my work, and they go into those habits go into my everyday life. And so that's one suggestion, to probably start small, look at your own habits. And but I would also want to give an example of, I heard this story about 10 years ago in Taiwan. And what they do in Taiwan is they put ice cream truck music on these trucks, and they're garbage trucks, and they collect the garbage at 5 and at 6 at night, in the evening, and they go all around certain, the big cities in Taiwan. And and when you hear the ice cream truck music, that means, hey, you got to go take your garbage out. And so what they do as well, locally, or it's a government mandate, they sell bags for compost and they sell bags for landfill waste. And the bags that have the trucks that go around to pick up these bags, the garbage bags cost a lot more. So that psychologically tells people, okay, let me, I'm going to pay more for these bags to throw stuff away. It tells you, well, let me waste less. And it's sort of a cool phenomenon. The other thing that the Taiwan did is they got rid of a lot of garbage cans around public spaces, and little by little, people started to change their habits of how they, if there's a garbage can, they, of course, you're going to go throw stuff there, but people would, wouldn't throw something away. They wouldn't throw it on the floor. So if there weren't any garbage cans, they held on to that garbage until they got to wherever they could throw it at. So it's little things like that. I wonder, can those things work in the United States? And right now the answer is no, because we have a different lifestyle. And one of the things that happened to me was here when I moved to Colorado and I set up garbage and recycling. The garbage gets picked up every week and the recycling gets picked up every 2 weeks. So I went to our local HOA and said, hey, can we switch that around? Can we have recycling picked up every week and garbage picked up every 2 weeks? And they laughed at me. They almost like, and without having to say I was from California, they were like, oh, you must be from California. And so it's an uphill battle, right? But my point is, you just got to keep bugging them, and hopefully, eventually, maybe not in my lifetime, but hopefully sooner, that people will change their minds. But so the takeaway is, start small, start with yourselves, and then look at other examples outside the United States that seem to be working, and then just push your local people. Like HOA people bug the hell out of you when you don't pay, so bug the hell out of them on other things, so that at least they earn their money. That's my 2 cents for right now. Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, we gotta protect those tacos. That's for sure. You gotta protect them. They're the only plant that has them. And also I do love your idea for advocating to local HOA, doing what you can in the community, because as we mentioned before, like starting community, it's like can be the most impactful, and that goes with along with a lot of other subjects too. But thank you for the reminder for garden recycling, because um, I moved from San Jose to Morgan Hill. I think you might be familiar with the Bay Area. Um, and they have recycling every other week, and it blows my mind away. And I think they're going to change that because we got a survey asking if you want to get switched every week. And I'm like, because I have these boxes of things that I want to like toss away. I'm like, because I didn't realize how much we recycle. We recycle more than we for garbage, and I'm like, I need to advocate now because like this is going to like I think it's ridiculous. We should have it because it makes you just think like it makes me kind of want to put something because I'm trying to think like what can I do with my stuff here, like this. I mean, it thinks of the people's mindset too. It makes people not want to recycle because it's like it just comes stacked up. But anyways, thank you for all that, your suggestions. I really appreciate it. And then I want to invite anyone in the audience to come onto stage and share if you have any of your favorite practices, like about your favorite sustainable practices, maybe your favorite way to help reduce your impact. Feel free to come on the stage and share. Danai, you haven't spoke. Danai, are you there, or do you want to share anything?
Hey, I am. I was just waiting for everybody to get a chance to share their tips. I have a couple. So one of the things that I like to do to make sure that I do not send anything to the landfill is I will always donate everything to Goodwill. And I also use Free Cycle a lot. So is anybody here familiar with Free Cycle?
I am
No,
not.
I'm not.
Okay. So if you go to freecycle.org, that's a website with communities of people, and they've been around for well over 10 years now. It used to be like an old school listserv. And so what you can do is you can find in your area um, things that people are free cycling, meaning if you have a sofa, if you have a set of encyclopedias, if you have books, shoes, clothing, whatever, people will go ahead and post it, and you can just go pick it up. And if you're looking for stuff and you don't want to buy new stuff, that is a great place to go first. Again, everything is free. Like that's like the only rule is that if you're posting stuff, you have to be giving it away. Um, like I can pull it up right now, and in Williamsburg, Virginia, somebody's giving away like an old school stove. like the like an old stove, like a really old antique style stove. Somebody's giving away a bookcase, and so that's a great site for you to both recycle your things and give them to somebody who needs them or wants them. And it's also a good way if if you have a new home and you're strapped for cash, you just spent money on buying that house. It's a great place to find furniture and to find things to furnish your house with, to find children's toys. I mean, everything. There's everything on that site. So definitely check that out. The other thing that I always do is I always, and I trained my kids to do this, always take water with me everywhere I go. If I'm getting into the car, I'm bringing my water thermos with me, and so are my kids. I can't tell you how much money we used to spend on buying bottled waters everywhere, and also how wasteful it is to constantly have have the water bottles to throw out. So always take water with me everywhere, and my kids do as well. And yeah, that's what I do. There was one more thing, but I completely forgot it, so I'll come back with it if I remember. But yeah, free cycle and taking water everywhere.
Thank you so much for mentioning that. I never heard of Free Cycle. Is that like an app, or is that like a website, or is that like in a Facebook group?
Website freecycle.org.
Okay, I'm writing that down. The only other thing that I've heard that was anything similar to that, because like I just moved, so I'm like I would look on that in case anyone's like giving away anything, because moving's expensive, especially in California, from an apartment to a three-bedroom. But one thing I did want to add to that, in case anyone is interested, including this the site freecycle.org, is that there are Facebook groups called like Buy Nothing, Sell Nothing, and the one I live now, it's all full. Allegedly, it's all full, the group, but it's a group that people post. I mean, the rule is that you can't sell anything; you're giving it away. And someone mentioned that to me. I was like, "Ooh, I gotta look that up." But the one where I live is full. But there also can be Facebook groups too, to help in with that. So there's unlimited amount of ways to give a to give away instead of just going to the landfill, which I love, because that feels, because that's gotta be someone, like someone would want that, and you don't have to go. It don't have to go to waste. Someone can. It's someone else's treasure. So thank you so much, Janai, for bringing that up. And now we have someone else who raised their hand, and I'm gonna butcher your name. Is it? How do you say your name? And I not. How do you say your name?
Danay.
Anai.
Danay.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you
Hi.
want to share one of your favorite or best practices for sustainability?
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing me up. I'm very passionate about this topic. I think the biggest thing that helped me was a change of mindset, and I think the fact that a lot of people attach their value or importance to things, learning that things are just things and that they don't have value or give you value was one of the most eye-opening things for me. um I live around an area where there's a lot of old homes and there's people that have owned their homes for a long time, and I noticed that they would have like estate sales, right? And realized that 90% of the stuff that you currently own is gonna end up in a landfill. It's gonna, your kids or grandkids are really not gonna want it. You think they have value and stuff, and they might have emotional value, but I think learning to let that go, learning about minimalism has really helped me a lot. And I started that journey because because of COVID, and it has helped me uh reframe. Like every time I would go buy something, I'm like, do I need this or do I want this? And why do I want this? And what is it gonna add to it? And is it just something that's gonna, gonna go end up in the waste, or am I just doing it to keep up with certain things? Changing that mindset, and if I really needed it or wanted it, I stopped buying things. I was one of the persons who during the pandemic, I think I ordered two things, which were a battery for my Roomba, and that's it. And one other thing, a part of an eco-friendly pair of sneakers. I didn't buy anything else because everybody was like Amazon, Amazon. And I'm just like, wow, all these things eventually down the road will end up in the garbage. As much as we think we're gonna recycle them and all that stuff, it ends up in the garbage, and that's the truth. Like it'll end up some form. So I think the idea that we have to consume less, consume less, hold our our companies accountable so they could switch. If you're going to produce, continue producing, fine, but the less packaging. How much is plastic is now waste on package? We receive packages with plastic, with all this stuff. Now there's more eco-friendly things, so look for those companies that take those steps, because honestly sometimes it's worth it paying that. There's now cornstarch peanuts instead of those styrofoam peanuts, which styrofoam is horrible for the planet. I switched over, instead of the toothpaste tubes, which cannot be recycled, I do bite tablets, which are amazing too. And they come in eco-friendly packaging and there's no plastic. I switched from those big tubs of like soap, the laundry detergent. There's True Earth, and there's strips that work just as great as laundry detergent, as well as using baking soda and vinegar for my laundry. And it was just a change of mindset. I do, recommend sometimes it you have to look at the things, watch those documentaries. It's important. I don't have children, but the people that do have children and their grandkids and stuff like that, think about the earth that they also deserve to have, the animals who don't have a say in the way we lead our lives and things like that. So I know it's been a bit of a rant, but I am really passionate about this, and I think we as a community should change our mindset to a lot of things, consuming less. And it's really important. It's We only have this planet, and we should really stop looking at alternatives to living in Mars and the moon, because that's what, like, oh, why take care of this planet, because this is where we're at right now.
Thank you so much for all that information. I really appreciate it all. And you don't have to apologize for ranting it at all. Like, I see your passion and I love it. It makes me want to hold more rooms like this. And I'm so excited to have it, because I haven't been on Clubhouse in a while. And it's just my first room that I've opened in a long time. I just love everyone's enthusiasm, passion for the environment. And you are correct. We need to start thinking about how can we consume less, and pretty much, like, unless we have products that are biodegradable, it's going to all be in the landfill. So it's a great way to think. And it's those type of thoughts you got to think about. And also, like, I love what Cindy said, like, rejecting like single like plastic bags. It's just kind of these, instead of just being so forgiving, it's just like, no, we need to protect the earth. We have one earth that has tacos too, and we got to protect it. And it's just having this changing our mentality. So thank you so much for sharing. I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in more rooms. And if anyone wants to open a room about sustainability, about like environmentalism, like, please, like, let me know, and let's get some more rooms started, because I love conversations like this. So aside from that, if anyone else has anything else to share, please come up on the stage. Otherwise, we can conclude the room and share any final thoughts. So does anyone have anything else to say, or we can close down the room? I see no more hands, so I guess I'll just conclude the room. So thank you again for everyone for sharing. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I hope to have more rooms like this in the future. If anyone's interested, please let us know. This is a passion that I love to talk about and discuss. I'm always seen as someone who's always learning as we go, and even just learning what else we can do to help um, help with the environment. So thank you again. And Cindy, do you have anything else you want to share?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Heather. I really appreciate you organizing this room. And yeah, my last words are if you want to change something, it's important that you do your daily change and your daily habits, and those are critical. But I think a lot of impactful change comes from a community-based initiative. And so, if you are interested in doing something like on a small but big level, and you're willing to do something that's you're ready for something more impactful, those daily habits that you're doing are important and they're key. But also to remember to really look into your community, because that's going to be the biggest impact when you move forward in the sustainability space. So I really appreciate everyone's time here. This is a great group. And yeah, do your best, and you're doing your best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to close this room in about 10 seconds, but before I do that, I just want to give a thanks to the Amigos room for hosting us. Thank you, Danay, for creating the Amigos and everyone who's involved. We wouldn't have the space without y'all. And if you do want to get more involved, to the Amigos group, we're on Discord, so please join us. We continue this conversation outside of Clubhouse. So please join us there or DM me if you have any questions. So thank you again, and I'm closing this room in 10 seconds. Thank you, and happy Earth Day, everyone.
Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.